Church Place in Rathfarnham, was later arrested. He said he didn't know the video would go viral, he just wanted to rant and didn't mean it. An Israeli surveillance drone circled over Camp Shamrock in Lebanon as Taoiseach Simon Harris toured the facility. The Journal reports the unmanned aircraft was seen flying over the base, which is home to 339 soldiers who make up the 125th Infantry Battalion. The Taoiseach says he was not put off by the presence of the drone and he's focusing on getting his own business done. Simon Harris met with Lebanese officials and got assurances that those who murdered Private Sean Rooney will be brought to justice. And the Chelsea Supporters Trust has asked the Premier League to investigate co-owner Todd Bowley's involvement in ticket reselling website Vivid Seats. The group says it's totally inappropriate for Bowley to be director of the company, which is listed as an unauthorised ticketing website by the Premier League. The American site allows people outside the UK to buy and sell tickets to sporting events and concerts more often than not at above face value. And that's your news for now.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Sun's out, tons out. Get the gals back together with Ryanair's low-fare flights to Agadir, Gran Canaria or Malta.
Mostly cloudy tonight with outbreaks of light rain and drizzle. Some areas of mist and fog will develop as well. Light to moderate southwesterly winds and lowest temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Optimum Nutrition, the official performance nutrition partners of the Gaelic Players Association and Leinster Rugby.
This is News Talk.
Good evening, you're welcome along to Wednesday night's Off the Ball. It's Owen here with you until 10 o'clock this evening. Coming up tonight, we're going to be joined by Kate O'Connor from 7:30 to chat about her silver medal success at the World Indoor Championships last week. She is back on Irish soil after a 30-hour trip from China, so looking forward to catching up with her after a brilliant month of March. Remember, she won that bronze medal in the Netherlands not so long ago as well. In the 8 to 9 hour, then we're going to be bringing you Wednesday night rugby with Jerry Thornley, looking ahead to Castlebar at the weekend, chatting a little bit about the Lions, chatting a bit about the Women's Six Nations with him. And Tommy Rooney's been in conversation with Kerry football manager Jack O'Connor, so we'll play that for you before 9 o'clock tonight. And then between 9 and 10, we've got a brilliant football show coming your way. Argentina 4, Brazil 1 was a pretty striking scoreline from Argentina last night, so we're going to get Tim Vickery on the line to discuss that, mostly from a Brazilian angle and where the hell they're at the moment. They are going to qualify for the World Cup, no problem, but they seem to be in a mini crisis. And then Stephen Elliott is also going to be chatting to us. He's now manager of Wexford FC in the League of Ireland First Division. If you've got any comments for us tonight, you can text us. 0879 180 180 is our number if you want to drop us a WhatsApp. Cameron Hill will be bringing the news round. Cameron, how are you doing?
Hello, Owen.
And Mick McCarthy has just been leafing through Cameron's news round and he's now smiling like a Cheshire cat. The news of Shane O'Donnell's demise. Greatly exaggerated, it turns out, Mick.
And my Cheshire cat smile, not even because it's new news to me, but because it's just nice to see.
Yes.
I read this morning. Irish Examiner, John Fogarty, a man you would trust with the GEA scoops, suggesting that Shane O'Donnell is back in non-contact training at the moment. Obviously, he had a shoulder injury that Brian Lohan said had ruled him out, that he would need surgery. My understanding was that he hadn't had the surgery and that they were still kind of awaiting the choice of the natural healing versus the as opposed to taking the surgery option. Obviously, this was a shoulder he injured in the All-Ireland final last July, so it's been a long process, So the fact that he's back in training is good. Fogarty's suggesting that they're hopeful of having him for the latter stages of the Munster Championship, which would mean, ideally that means the last 3 games plus the Munster final if they get there, but I don't know. It's hard to know where the actual details are, but God, what a much needed boost for hurling. Never mind Clare. Absolutely for Clare. It's after a dreadful league. It's exactly the news we need to hear just to go in with some kind of optimism. Going into the Munster Championship desolate after winning the All-Ireland, it's bizarre, but it is the case.
The sentence that stuck out to me from his piece is, O'Donnell is not expected to be fit in time for the All-Ireland champions opening Munster Senior Hurling Championship game against Cork and Ennis. I was like, what? Hold on a minute, when was this ever in question that he could be fit for that game?
In 3 weeks' time, isn't it?
Lohan had said the medical advice was that surgery was 100% necessary. So when somebody 100% has to have surgery, you write off the year, especially given the condensed nature of the season. And what we're looking at now is potentially one of the great stories of the championship summer if Clare managed to progress even into the knockout stages with this guy in tow. The only thing is, can Clare get out of a dog-eat-dog Munster Championship without Shane O'Donnell? That's That there might be a slight risk element in this at some stage late in the campaign where Lohan's like, do I risk this guy?
Well,
do I not?
They went through the Munster Championship last year. People forget this. Like, Clare are more than a one-man show. Now, Shane O'Donnell was at, like, the type of form that you rarely see in a hurler of any type over any year last year. But Tony Kelly came back from a long-term injury and didn't really start. I don't think he started the game until the Munster final. He might have started one game in Munster and then went back out of the team again.
Something like that.
As far as I remember, he might have started the second game and then went back out of the team for the rest. And I remember being in Thurles and Clare were already qualified playing Tipperary and watching Tony Kelly on the sideline and just saying, surely today's the day, you know, you give him the run out, and everything was just cool, calm and collected, and Clare were fine without him, you know. And there is that case as well. I don't think they'll be rushing anybody back. I think people underestimate them going into Munster every single year. Don't get me wrong, it's a poor league. A couple of players played very, very well and will come through and will hope to make the championship squad, but I don't think anybody stood out in a way that you would suggest they found two players the way you might want to add to your top 15, the way you might want to replenish what is not necessarily an aging team, but a team with a lot of hurling in their legs. You know, you if you don't find someone, then you have to go back to the well fully with John Conlon again, who's in his mid-30s, or Kelly, who's been there since he was a teenager, or O'Donnell, who's been there since he was a teenager. So there is that concern. But at the same time, Clare have been competitive, like in a real way, including winning the All-Ireland.
That would suggest competitiveness,
you know, for 4 years,
really.
You know? Yeah.
But I suppose there'd be a lot of confidence from the fact that Shane O'Donnell didn't really feature last year either until the league final, right?
Yeah, sorry. So him taking the lead. John says that in his piece, and it's exactly what I said. It's just like nobody was wondering was Shane O'Donnell injured, because there's sort of an acceptance, and he talked to us about it when we did the piece with him for Allianz last year. It's just like that was just an understanding with him, Brian Lohan. He's got a very, very busy career that has to be sidelined every summer for him to hurl, and for him to do that for 8 months of the year is just not. He would have to retire. You know what I mean? So he does not hurl with Clare during the league, and it's just sort of accepted. And to be honest, since it's happened, he said the best 2 years of his career, bar none. So it's something that obviously isn't working against him in any way or against Clare in any way. So again, it's just until that news came out of the blue that he was out for the season. That's why it was such a shocker, you know, because nobody was expecting to see Shane O'Donnell.
Well, since that news came out that he was going to get surgery and that he was potentially out for the season, if you had given me an option between two stories that I would see before the end of March, story A being Shane O'Donnell is back in training, or B, Shane O'Donnell has landed on the moon, I probably would have picked the second of these two stories. I literally would have given him a better chance of going to outer space. That's part of the reason
Even
why.
with the dodgy shoulder.
I think when we were talking about his injury on the night, it was like he's got so much other opportunities, so many other things he can do in his life, because he's such a talented guy in so many respects that aren't sport related. So in a way, he's obviously going to go away, and maybe we've seen the end of Shane O'Donnell full stop.
But it's the terrible fear and the selfishness of a sports fan, and especially a fan of a team, is that your instinct of like, he's 30 this year, he'll turn 31 during the championship. That's fine.
Curtains.
He's well able for it. But we're already kind of asking him, can he do another year every year? Because he has so much to do with his life, you know. And it's like, but if we miss Shane for this year, we might not get him again, you know. It's like terrible way to look at things, like not holistic at all.
What a year that'll be if he takes both of those off.
I don't think he can go to the moon anymore, by the way. That's right.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the astronaut side has passed, just for various reasons. He's explained it himself.
Shane O'Donnell on the moon in 5 years' time. They wrote us off above in Dublin. The Dublin media wrote me off. Here I am, breathing heavily between each syllable. We are going to talk about this in more depth between 8 and 9, but like
Has anyone been to the moon in like 40 years? Sorry, anyway, go on. Sorry.
Let's go down the conspiracy theory path. Why is nobody going to the moon anymore?
Hannon when you need him.
Go to the moon. I'm not saying we never went.
So clocks go forward this weekend. First league finals this weekend. League final to Hurling the following weekend. We're about to enter the business end of,
with a 45,000 sellout overnight. Like,
it feels like the national excitement for the meaningful stuff, which is about to begin now over the next couple of weeks, has kind of reached that level. And
the real
that
counties are back, you know, in the hurling, like, you know.
Oof.
Those Clares and all, like, who wants to be seeing them? It's Cork and Tip, the traditional counties.
Classico.
In
Waterford and
Cork.
Offaly.
You know, that's what they want.
I saw John Milan giving out about that the sellout proves that the Division 1B final should have been on its own date.
Oh yeah, very few Waterford and Offaly fans got tickets today.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
it seems that way.
Well, Offaly will always bring a crowd though.
Yeah, but that's actually true. You throw Offaly into any situation at the moment and they'll take a huge chunk of the tickets. But, I mean, the appetite for these meaningful hurling days out is huge. Although the attendances across the regulation of the Alliance Hurling Leagues wouldn't have been too bad, I don't suspect.
I don't know, but I do. It's funny, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but it's that news along with the kind of excitement around Shane O'Donnell, but that sellout news is incredible. Like, you know what I mean? That's a huge amount of tickets to go a week and a half before a game. 2 games, fair enough, yeah. But like there is that general excitement in the hurling counties, and it hasn't transferred to the national scene or the national media, including us. Absolutely, I'm hands up on that one, in a way that I've never seen before. Like, and I think the excitement around football, absolutely, that it's a part of it, and there is only so much space for the GAA at this time of year. They become almost 2 separate sports now. From championship on, it's a different thing. But around, you probably have 1 GA slot, and the football was just taking up all the attention. That is something. But it's also, there's the feeling that the same group of 8 teams are going to play each other again in a different league format soon, and it's hard to take the league seriously. But within the hurling counties, and we're in these counties that I'm talking about, there's been huge interest all year long, and I don't think that's actually been reflected. Hurling was on a massive high after last year. The All-Ireland hurling final had more viewers than the All-Ireland football final on RTE last year. You had huge attendances all the way through, especially the Munster Championship. And yeah, it was almost like we went into the club season and into the league season and it's all been forgotten about. But this sellout just shows you that like hurling is at its apex at the moment.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. So
in some places,
in some places, exactly. We'll come back to that between 8 and 9 as well, and we'll have a bit more GAA chat. The news round tonight is brought to you by Optimum Nutrition. To unlock more you, choose Optimum Nutrition. And Cameron, the teddy bear lion, was brought out of cold storage today. We saw for the first time with Andy Farrell.
Yeah, he was the first person named in the backroom team, along with 3 of the Ireland backroom side. That was named as part of the coaching ticket for the British and Irish Lions ahead of the summer tour of Australia. So Simon Easterby, John Fogarty and Andrew Goodman have been selected as assistant coaches, along with England's Richard Wigglesworth and John Dalziel of Scotland. Their first challenge will be to finalise a 37-player squad for the tour, which will officially get underway here in Dublin with a game against Argentina on June 20th. That squad will be revealed on the 8th of May, and Farrell says there will be some tough decisions made over the next 6 weeks.
We bounced around with a wider squad yesterday. I think we came up to about 75 names or something like that. Every single one of them deserve to be on that list. There's going to be a hell of a lot of good players that don't make the play, and that's exactly how we want it to be. We want this to be as competitive as it possibly can, and we're obviously going to be watching all the games. That's going to be coming up before May the 8th.
Now, Easterby joins the Lions set up fresh from serving as Ireland interim head coach for this year's Six Nations campaign. The former Scarlets and Ireland back row also played 2 tests against the All Blacks during the 05 tour. He believes it's important for the coaching team to find cohesion from the off.
We've got to come together very quickly. We've got to be on the same page very quickly as a coaching group, so that when the players come in, they feel like we're already a step ahead. My abiding memory as a kid growing up was the 89 tour. Finlay Calder was captain, and I was trying to wig earlier about Rob Jones at the base of a scrum having a little head-to-head with Nick Farr-Jones. So I think you look back at things that were really important in my sort of growing up in my career was watching those days, and hopefully we can reproduce that type of tour again this year.
And Fogarty has been enlisted as scrum coach, having spent 5 years in the same role with Ireland. He talked about the importance of making sure that this tour is special for all involved.
You see how special the Lions is when you speak to some of your family, and you instantly start to think about the memories of other Lions tours, and quite quickly then the responsibility of making sure that you're making this the best experience for the group of players, for the fans that are watching, for everyone involved. It becomes important to you. So,
Cameron, you were of the mind that this is a massive mistake. Australia has nothing compared to the likes of Tbilisi and Lisbon. There was a great summer tour there for any member of the Irish coaching staff.
Yeah,
Australia's just too mainstream.
If you're going for sun, it's a shorter trip, right? Lisbon is particularly nice. I think they'll be down in Quinta do Lago again as part of the tour when they're training Ireland. So that's not a terrible part of the world at all, down in the Algarve, and Tbilisi is meant to be nice. I think Rory O'Connor was talking about it on Monday Night Rugby, that it feels like this is a really important tour from a development point of view, like we saw maybe in the Six Nations. We don't have the depth that we had, and 371 caps have left this Ireland setup in the form of Cian Healy, Peter O'Mahony and Conor Murray, and that's a vacuum or that's a void now that needs to be filled. And like Paul O'Connell was announced as the interim head coach for that tour, and it's likely that Mike Prendergast and Sean O'Brien will be among those that go along as part of the Ireland coaching ticket for that one. But I don't know, does it feel a little bit cheapened by the fact that you don't have a load of mainstays there, that maybe this is an opportunity that might be missed if a lot of the Ireland main coaching team is going to Australia instead and not having that hands-on approach to developing some of these young players?
Might be a bit. I think everybody said that, and it must be something, because it seems to be the prevailing opinion. I wonder, is it just a small bit overblown in that, like, them going to Georgia and, is it Romania?
Portugal.
Sorry, like, that's a start. Like, it's a first step on a ladder. You know what I mean? It's not as if Paul O'Connell's not going to be involved in the Irish setup going forward. There's going to be other tours, and there's going to be enlarged training squads around Christmas next year, and probably even before the November internationals. There's plenty of chances to look at these players. I just wonder, is it's a chance for a couple of emerging players to stand out, and then their development is going to happen over the next 12 months after that.
Maybe. I think when you look back at, say, 2017, when Ireland went to USA and Japan, and we unearthed that a lot of those players that would have starred in the under-20s, the likes of Gary Ringrose and James Ryan, are the two I can think of off the top of my head that really came into their own in an Ireland jersey. And that was with a Joe Schmidt full Ireland backroom staff, and I feel like that really stood to them. So it's hard to know.
Yeah, but would it have not stood to them if Joe Schmidt was on the lines and Andy Farrell, whoever it was at the time, was there? I don't know. I wonder, is just a specific. They're still going away with what's left of the non-Ireland lines, which is going to be probably not going to be too many frontline players, but a lot of internationals, a lot of caps will still go on that tour. I don't know. I think it's a little bit over. I also think this is just the price you pay for being good. Ireland have been, like, we are one of the four nations in the Irish and British Lions, as we have to start calling it, yes. I think now. And, this is just the way it is. We have an Irish head coach. We've had a successful international team, the most successful international team of the four nations for the last 4 years. And we're going to just naturally have the majority of the players. Like, don't forget as well, Irish players over there with their coaches, they'll all learn, they'll all get better from being over there. It's there's opportunity there as well. We shouldn't always be just looking at the negative.
And it'd be cool to see Paul O'Connell in the head coach chair as well. If nothing else, there'll be a bit of an incentive to watch those.
You'll have to set an alarm to remind yourself that game's on. But it'll be cool to see. Yeah, make sure you know the day.
Do you want to bring us on to the football next, Cameron?
Yeah, Republic of Ireland captain Katie McCabe will be looking to help Arsenal into the semi-finals of the Champions League this evening. The Gunners have a tough job on their hands. They trail Real Madrid 2-0 heading into the second leg of their quarter-final. That kicks off in the Emirates at 8 o'clock. Elsewhere, Lyon are currently 1-1 with Bayern Munich in their other quarter-final this evening. So Lyon have a 2-goal advantage, leading 3-1 on aggregate.
Right, so that is the picture in football in terms of the Women's Champions League. You've got more in the women's football front?
Yeah, Ireland international Marissa Shiva has a new club, and she wants to help Sunderland finish the season strong in the WSL2. The 27-year-old midfielder has moved from Portland Thorns in the US to Tyne Weir on a permanent deal. Elsewhere, Ian Birmingham has been appointed as the new head of academy football at St. Pat's. He replaces Stephen Elliott, who left to manage First Division side Wexford. Birmingham holds the record of most club appearances with the Saints with 453, and Alan Sheehan will remain in charge of Championship side Swansea until the end of the season. The Westmeath native took the reins as interim boss last month following the departure of Luke Williams. The 38-year-old earned 6 caps with the Republic of Ireland under-21s between 2005 and 2007.
We will be joined by Stephen Elliott a little bit later on. He'll be with us on the football show, as you mentioned. He's managing Wexford at this stage in the First Division at the League of Ireland. So Stephen Elliott will be with us to discuss how he's finding life in his first managerial role. Where do you want to go next?
We'll go to golf, because Rory McIlroy says his trip to Augusta this week has put him at ease ahead of next month's Masters. So he took a trip to Georgia to refamiliarise himself with a course that is in the midst of an extensive 15-month-long renovation process. And the world number 2 says his preliminary visits to Augusta are an important part for his Masters prep.
I use those trips just to refamiliarise myself with the place. Clubs off tees, looking to see if they changed any greens. There's 4 greens that are new this year that they've redone. So you just sort of, you have a look at those and see if there's any new hole positions they could use, stuff like that. But apart from that, it's honestly, for me, it's nice to play a practice round without people around, and it sort of takes the pressure off the start of the week for me.
Refamiliarising himself with Augusta, is that like rewatching a horror movie?
He hasn't always been terrible.
No.
Usually it's round.
In fact, he's been amazing there.
2, 3, and 4 where he plays so well. But look, I hear all of that, and I just think I just want Rory not to talk before the Masters. Or is it me? I wasn't in Augusta. No, I wouldn't be interested in that kind of thing now. I've got lots of PGA Tour events that are equally as important between now and then. Or, you know, it just feels like even talking about, I like to play the practice round with nobody around takes the pressure off. It's just like everything is screaming. The pressure is so big here. Yeah. You know, it is really, isn't it?
It's part of the ritual of Masters, like heading into the Masters, is Rory McIlroy insisting that this year I'm trying to take the pressure off, and the pressure will be, as always is for all the players who go out to that famous course, it will be on. The other bit is I can't wait to download the app. I was saying it today.
Yeah.
That's a really big part of the week for me. Finally.
Are we in better shape as like fans and nervous sports watchers that Rory is in the form of his life going into this 2-time winner already? I was looking at the points gained in the world rankings list, and he is like so ridiculously far ahead of everybody else for 2025. Like he is, he in some ways should go and win the Masters. You know, I know that's a ridiculous thing to say, but because Scheffler turns up at his best, or John Rahm turns up at his best, or whatever, but Rory's as good as any of them and is playing better at the moment. But the expectation, you almost kind of want them like, do nothing, we're not worried, we'll just watch the Masters, and suddenly he's 4 shots clear after the first day. Maybe then we can kind of get interested. I don't know which is worse.
Does the fact that Lowry's playing so well as well not be a fact? Like, again, I'm not there's a terribly uninitiated golf fan over here, but like the fact that he's played so well, like when you think of the players, or even at the Arnold Palmer, and Lowry was right there with him, and I can't remember the last time Lowry's played so well heading into Augusta.
Highest ever world ranking.
Yeah,
this week.
And just even looking at the Ryder Cup, the nature of that relationship must have a factor in how McIlroy plays and how confident he feels. So, is that an underlying factor in all this?
Potentially. I just think we've been here before, and when you ask about like, are we in a good place as sports fans? No, you'd rather under promise and over deliver.
I'm still not right after the US Open last year.
Oh, it's a small roundy ball version of Ireland at the Rugby World Cup.
Except it happens 4 times a year instead of once every 4 years.
Well, Augusta, it's once a year, really.
Do you think it's just Augusta?
No,
I don't know.
It's obviously not, but what I'm talking about is the expectation, the building up of this. He's won every other major.
Okay.
Like he's at least got over the line in all of them. But at least it's once a year as opposed to once every 4 years, which is way worse. If we had to go through the World Cup quarter-final thing every single year, I think we'd be broken as individuals. But thankfully, what are we, 2.5 years away from that yet?
What if Shane wins the Masters before Rory? Do you think his good vibes continue then? Do you think?
I'd like to dedicate this to my friend Rory McIlroy, who sadly has never...
It feels like a wrestling thing where it happens where, and it's like he congratulates Shane and then hits him over the head with a steel chair.
Yeah.
Shane Lowry turns heel.
No, how McIlroy would.
Right, we have time for 1 or 2 more stories, Cameron.
Yeah, big night in basketball. Claire Melia is set to become the first Irish woman to play in a Euro Cup final this evening. The Kildare native is lining out for Spanish side Farrell, who face French outfit Villeneuve in the first leg of Galicia, which is underway. So huge night for Irish basketball there. Really is. And the Red Bull Formula 1 team has dropped driver Liam Lawson after just 2 races. The 23-year-old New Zealander will swap place with Yuki Tsunoda and return to Red Bull's second team, Racing Bulls. The Japanese driver will be in place for his home Grand Prix at the Suzuki circuit in a week's time.
All right, Cameron, thank you for tonight's news round. We've got plenty coming up on the show this evening. Kate O'Connor is going to join us next for a chat about her world indoor silver medal last week in China. We're going to take a quick break, and before that, it's time for the Cash Machine.
News Talk's Cash Machine.
Now, after another big winner last week, the Cash Machine has been reloaded with